Hi.
It's like, who's going to say hi first?
Yeah.
Hi.
This is always, I always give you like the what since you don't go for it, then I go for it. But hello, Meeple Village viewers, board game grand viewers, girly gamer viewers. Am I missing anybody?
I don't think so. No, that'll do.
I'll do. All right. You guys been watching that Fae farm that Angela's been putting up
Oh,
on her channel? It's so
so
cute.
addicted. So addicted, Annabelle. So addicted.
I'm sure it is. It looks very addictive. I no longer play video games that much, but I enjoy watching other people play it. So I've been watching yours, and it's just so much fun to see you. And there's something about knowing you that I know that that little guy is being controlled by you behind camera. And then whenever the screen pops up and it says "girly gamer" or like I recognize your name somewhere, it's like, oh yes, it's Angela. It's so
Oh,
cool.
that's adorable. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched it, go to Girly Gamer. She does some live videos too, which are so cool. To see it live is even better, I think. So
Yeah, it's fun. It's help. You know why I started doing them? I started doing them to help with my social anxiety of getting better at talking and
okay.
streaming. You have to chit chat. It's actually helped me. Tracy thinks that it's made me a bit better at chatting, so that's good.
You are do amazing. I don't know what you are talking about. I
Yeah.
saw a video. If you haven't seen this video, go check it out. It's also on Girly Gamer. I think it's on Girly Gamer, I believe. I saw you talking about the Clone Wars, the Star Wars pandemic game, the Clone Wars,
Oh,
and I saw you like explaining the game, and I'm like, I don't know what. And Angela complains all the time that she can't explain the rules. This was perfection. Like she did so. It was so eloquent and so.
oh, thank you. You know, I thought that was rubbish as well, so thank you.
No, it wasn't. So what are we going to talk about today? Enough about Angela.
Enough about me.
What are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about painting minis, painting figures, and all that good stuff.
All that good stuff. And that was, I've been requesting that one for a while. Finally, they listened to me. You know how hard it is to get these women to listen to me?
It's a good topic. It's a good topic.
Yeah, I think I know I am going to enjoy it, and not only enjoy it, but it's going to be so educational for me that I am super looking forward to it. But before we get into it, we have to do our game because last week we showed you a little piece, right? A tiny little piece of it.
I've got it right here.
Uh-huh. Do you guys guess? Because here it
This
is.
is the piece.
That's the piece.
Remember?
Yeah, I
It
remember.
was Finca.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is farm in Spanish, so it must be a farming game.
Oh, it's farm in Spanish. You know what, Anabel? You need to teach me some Spanish. It's the one language that I'd love to learn. There we go. You've just taught me a word already.
Yeah, yes, I did. That's farming. I'm guessing it's you're farming for stuff. I don't know.
It's more fruit farming, so more orchardy. But it's a good one. Good game.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a finca. Yeah, I love it. I know I've heard about it. I've just never played it for whatever reason. I don't know why I haven't played it because I've never seen it on the table, and I don't own it. But so that was finca. So after we finished talking about minis, and I get all the answers I want from Angela, we're going to have another game at the end of the episode. So make sure you stay tuned for that. You know, it's funny. I was doing a show. We did a show a couple days ago. And I'm so used to talking to you guys, to everybody here. And at the end of the show, there was a band coming after us. So instead of me saying, everybody don't go anywhere, the next, I go, stay tuned, guys, because the next band is coming soon. I was, stay tuned. What is this? This is all your fault, guys.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So we're going to talk about minis. We're going to talk about painting. And Angela has lots of credentials to her name. So you want to tell them about it, or should I?
Well, I'm interested to know what you think because I don't think I've got that many credentials. I used to paint minis. That's my credential.
Right, but you did more than that. You had a whole studio in your house, didn't you? In the house before
I
this
did
one?
have a workshop in my house, yeah.
There you go.
And
There
I
you
used
go.
to make gaming props and things.
What kind of things?
Well, bigger things. The most recent thing, I actually made something recently, Anabel. You'd be shocked to hear. I made a tankard from a video game that I've been playing. I made it for Amanda. She's put her pens in it.
What's a tankard?
like a big mug that you might use if you're in a tavern
I see.
in a
Okay.
fantasy game.
You build the tanker?
Yeah, I made it out of like floor matting that you put on your floor. You know that EVA foam.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she said she has no credentials.
Uh, well, I can do big things now. My eyes are letting me down with the little.
Right, it's hard. It's hard, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about is equipment. What kind of equipment we use for painting? But raise your hand if you guys have ever used flooring material to create anything. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, and how long have you been painting for, or how long did you paint for? Because I know you don't paint that much anymore.
Yeah, I started painting minis when I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18. Since role playing was the Satanic Panic, a long time ago. Yeah. Back when the minis were made of lead.
Oh
The
my
old
gosh!
Ralph and Grenadier and all those.
Right, I bet that
Yeah.
was a pain to paint.
They weren't as good as the ones now, put it that way. The detail in them, it's come along, hasn't it? Although Ralph was a really nice make of figure back in the day. If you got a
Mm,
Ralph figure, you're a bit fancy.
mm. I just thought I wish we would have done this live because I'm sure we could have gotten questions from you guys that I might not come up with. I will try to come up with as many and I mean Angela will ask me questions too. I'm sure I can enlighten her. I've been painting for like a year and a half. I don't
I've got questions. I can come up with questions.
Okay. So my first question to you, and I guess I'll answer this one as well, is how did you get started? I'm guessing it's because Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, D&D, playing D&D back in the day. As a wee girl, the only girl in the role playing club for years,
Did
and
you already know that you had talent, like painting talent or any kind of artistic talent before that, or
oh
no?
no, I
Oh,
can't draw or anything like that. And
okay.
like with the figures, it's just practice, isn't it? I mean, I was rubbish at the beginning, I'm sure.
I'm still rubbish.
You are not. I seen your figures.
Uh, well, for me, actually, it was one of you guys. So I was just doing board games with the unpainted minis, and I remember before I did the channel, I had a friend that was really artistic, and I once asked her if she would paint the minis for me, and she said yes, but she never did. And then we're not friends anymore, so of course went out the window. But I always wanted to have them painted because I would look at other people playing with their painted minis, and I'm like, oh, so much better. And then one of my viewers said, "Hey, listen, just get a kit at Amazon." She sent me the link and everything. And for you guys that want to get started, it was an Army Painter beginner's kit. It came with the paint that you needed, the mini, and the paint that you needed to paint that specific mini.
Oh,
And they came with a booklet that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to do it. And I just read little by little. I went with a lot of patience and I started. And actually, I have them here. I can show them to you.
yeah, definitely.
I have two because I gave you one.
Pride and joy for me. Pride and joy. Oh,
So
nice.
there's this guy. It came with that little blue, and it gave you a whole bottle of blue just to paint that tip. So my bottle of blue is still around. Like I still use it for other things. And then there's this guy, which I was so happy to paint somebody like, like with a sword and like looking cool
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, I mean, I didn't do great, but I did it, and it set me on a path to continue to try and to get better and better. And like Angela said, it's practice.
Yeah, definitely
Practice.
practice.
Also, you notice that I'm in a different place, and that's because I am in my little painting studio. So this is all I have. And we'll talk about equipment. So why don't we do that? What are there any things that come to mind that are super important for us to have as we start painting that we should go buy?
For me, see, back in the day, we didn't really have that many fancy things, but I know that there are a couple of fancy things now that my daughter uses when she's painting. And one of them is called a wet palette, which, well, you've probably got one, have you? You know what it is. Yeah, we never had them back in the day. It would just be paints, good brushes, good thin brushes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can spend a little bit of extra money on good thin brushes, don't buy the cheap, nasty ones. a little bit of water, and some kitchen roll. That would be my thing. What about you?
Uh, I do use some cheap brushes because there's stuff that do not. I don't want to mess up
Undercoating.
my good brushes. So
Yeah.
I have I even get them like for $5. So you see, I have a lot because you toss them all the
Yeah,
time.
that's true.
The one thing that I will add to what you said is because of my age. So and even if you're young, it's like when I play shows, not during my gig because I have to listen to what I'm doing, but when I'm listening to other bands, immediately I put my earplugs because I want to protect my hearing. Because
Okay.
it's that constant. So for painting, I want to protect my eyes because I know that eventually I have good eyesight now, but is it going to last forever? No. So yeah, I have this,
Yes.
and it has a light and it's a magnifier, so I do not struggle so much with what I'm looking at. Other than that, I have my water. I don't use the wet palette all the time. Let me turn this off because the lighting. I don't use the wet palette so much because, and I'll tell you why.
Come back
I love
across,
the
come back across, Annabelle. Come back
wet.
across. Yay!
I know the wet palette is really good, but this one that I have keeps things so clean. And I'm all about keeping. I don't like to see messy stuff. I also have a bunch of paper towels there. What else do I have? This is very important, guys. Let's see. You get any kind of thing where you can put your mini on because you don't want to be touching it. You don't want to be touching the mini. And then you get some putty, and you just take a little bit of putty and put it there, and then stick your mini on top, and that way you don't have to be touching it while you're painting. It's so important.
Yes.
It makes such a big difference because your hands can mess up. Besides, your hands will get dirty. So
Yeah, that's a good tip, actually. Yeah, even back in the day when I used to when I first started, yeah, we would stick the figure to the top of the paint, a paint that you weren't using. You would stick it on top.
Yeah, you have to use, and they sell some. I have some that are like I bought, but I actually don't like them. I like this better because the ones that I bought have like a little. I'll just show it to you. But also this, this is my cleaner. So once in a while, I'll clean my brush here, and all you gotta do is just put your brush there and give it a few swirls, and it'll take all that thing that gets stuck. Let me see. Let me show you.
Fancy, so fancy. I just had water back in the day.
Oh, no, I have other solutions also to clean my brushes because I'm cheap. So I try to use them as much as I can, not have to buy them all the time. But yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. This one I bought, and what you do is you can put any mini there, and you just stick it in there, and then it holds it like that.
Oh,
but
wow.
the issue that I have is when I go paint the base, well, the base is stuck in there. So when I go paint around the base, it doesn't work. So I have to put it in one of those. So if I'm going to be transferring it, I might as well just put it in the other one and get it done with. So yeah, I mean, I have a couple other cleaning solutions. I can show them to you just so you know what I use, but it's no big deal. I mean, you say you just use water and it's good enough, right?
Well, that's back in the day. I mean, back then we used to use a grey lead pencil and a piece of paper to play D&D. Do you know what I mean? Now it's all laptops and iPads and music and
yeah. I mean, sure. I feel like a lot of times I'm just glad I have it just in case. Like if I make a big boo boo and I have to clean, and I see this brush, I like this brush and I don't want to toss it. Let me see if I can get it out before. So let me show you what I got.
so many new
I told you I was going to teach you some things. See?
I know, I'm definitely learning the modern way of mini painting.
So this is just pink soap. It smells delicious, and it does a very good job. You just put a little bit on your hand, and then you take the brush, and you kind of just, with the soap there, you kind of just go around it. You don't want to do that because it'll ruin the tip of your brush. But just like that, and make sure you clean this part if you get paint there, because if you leave paint there, it's going to dry up, and it's going to make the top of the bristles go like this.
Yes.
And you know what happens when the bristles are like that? It's really hard
Not
to
yet.
paint. But if you do that, there's this thing that I don't know. I also helps a lot. You
Like
just
terps or something.
you know what that is?
I think, is it turpentine? Something like that?
I have no idea. It's
Yeah.
brush killer and restorer.
Oh,
And you put it in a little cup, you put your brush there. Be careful because you putting your brush down like that in any surface is going to ruin the tip. So be careful, but you can just swirl it around in the solution and it will soften up the paint. And then you can use this or the other one I showed you previously and finish cleaning it. So we went backwards. We're cleaning brushes instead of painting. Have you noticed?
wow. I'm like, I knew that tabletop role playing's come along, right? But there's so many gadgets and things and solutions and things now that we never had back in the day. It's really cool.
Yeah. I have this also. I don't know if you know what this is. I watch videos and I learn. That's how I learn. So I'm giving you guys all the stuff that I've kind of gathered from a bunch of videos, and I'm giving you all the information, and you take what you think. So this is surfactant, I think it's called.
Surfactant. Is that like
Yeah.
a disinfectant of some kind?
I have no idea what it is, but I will tell you what it does. I don't know because when I read, it's something for plants. It even has I believe, a picture of a flower there. So
Yeah.
do not ask me how it works. But all you gotta do is you take a little dropper. What is this called?
An eyedropper?
Okay, a dropper. So okay, you take like 6 drops of this and you drop it on your clean water, and you'll see it does some bubbles, and that will help you for your brush to stay cleaner longer, and for your water to stay cleaner longer. Yeah, so I also use that, and I like it. Sometimes I forget because I'm in a hurry, and I just change the water. How often should we change the water? That's a good question for you.
Yeah, I would change it anytime that the color of the water is going to affect what you're doing. So a lot.
The short answer is a lot.
Yeah.
I used to be lazy because, of course, it's such a pain to have to go all the way over there and change the water. but I have learned that the more you change it, the better. The better for your overall progress. You're going to have an easier time. So don't be lazy. Get your exercise in. Walk to the faucet and change the water.
Or get a large container of water and sit it on your desk, and then use a little container of water. Tip that one
That's
out.
fine.
Refill.
You see, Angela is the smart one. I could buy a lot of shit, but Angela.
Oh, I love
But
it.
yeah, so I think the easiest way for us to talk about this is to go in order. I know we started all the way at the end with cleaning, but let's move forward and start at the beginning of what you should do with the miniature when you're about to paint it. What do you think is step 1, or what do you suggest is step 1?
Step 1 for me would be to generally, well, back in the day, you would blow all over it, as odd as it sounds, to make sure there's no dust or anything on it.
Okay.
And then undercoat it. What would you do?
I've heard, and I don't do it, but I know that I should. I heard a lot of people say wash it with soap and water.
Get any sort of, residue off.
Yeah, I will admit that I don't do it. Undercoated is priming. Is that what?
Yeah, priming.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about priming. What is the suggestion? Aerosol cans?
I don't use aerosol cans to prime anything unless it's big. That's just because I like to get into every little nook and cranny. But I know that you can now. Back in the day, you wouldn't. Back in the day, an aerosol can was big spray, but now they've got specialized aerosol cans for undercoating, haven't they? Like Citadel.
I just use the Home Depot ones.
Oh, you do? It's
Yeah.
got to be a fine mist spray though, otherwise you're gonna lose a little bit of detail, I think.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what is it that you would suggest? And just using a
I would
brush?
just use a thin. I undercoat in black. I know some people undercoat in white. A thin black paint and just paint the whole thing.
Okay. So you don't care about details at this point. You're just painting the whole miniature black.
Covering it, yeah.
Okay. Okay, here's a question that I have not been able to get an answer, or I've gotten answers. I've gotten different answers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what answer you give me.
Cool.
I hear this phrase all the time. A thin coat. A thin coat. What in the world is a thin coat? Like how thin? Like do you see through to the color of the mini, original color of the mini, or does it cover? How much? Talk to me.
Yeah, my idea of a thin coat would be not using big cluggy paint. So even if you need to water it down a little bit, but yeah, you shouldn't see any of the. If the mini's white and you're doing
Mm-hmm.
it black, it needs to be black at the end. I even take them outside if I'm doing something small, like an action figure.
Mm-hmm.
I take it outside and look in natural light from every angle, and then make sure I've covered. Make sure I've covered it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it should look like the miniature is completely black.
yeah.
No
How do
transparency.
you do it? What's your what's your priming method?
Hmm?
What's your priming method? How do you prime?
I use the can. I
Hmm.
put a bunch. I have a. Let me show you. It's a good thing I'm sitting here because all my stuff is here. I got this from I don't know where, but I got this little whatever thing it is, and you just put the minis here. It has like a rubber. You just stick them there, and then everywhere because this turns, so it's really convenient. And then I just leave it out there to dry. Now I have to remember I live in Florida and it's very
My
humid.
face.
Hmm?
Look at my face, Annabelle.
Oh, you've never seen this contraption?
No.
Yeah, I have contraptions. I'm telling you, you're the smart one. I'm the one that buys stuff. Is it necessary? I don't know. I don't use half the stuff. As you can see, there's dust everywhere, so I don't use half the stuff. Honestly, lately I've been too lazy to go outside because it's summer, so and it's super hot and super humid. So I've been doing what you said. I've been doing an undercoat. So I
Yeah.
look at what's the like if it's a miniature that's going to be white, like a lot of white in it, I will undercoat it white. But if it's a miniature that has other colors, other darker shades, then I'll do it black. Because if you miss, let's say that it's dark blue or whatever, dark green, and if you miss a spot and you see black, it kind of looks like it's a shadow, like a shade, So you're okay not doing a perfect job, and I know that I a lot of times do not do a perfect job. So the black covers you up, so it's kind of smart. And you also want to do, the thing I think is called lining, where you put black lines in between like the edges of stuff. So if you've already undercoated it black, then
Yeah.
you don't need to worry so much because the black lines are going to be there if you leave a little bit of space in between
Yeah,
the.
that's why I do it black. It's good for the extra layers. You've touched on something as well that we should probably mention, and it's if you're living in a humid climate, which we both
Mhm.
do,
Yeah.
if you're spray painting outside, that can also that can affect the way the paint dries, right? If you're
Yep.
doing it in a humid place.
Yeah, because humidity means water, and what's in paint? Water, and you don't want extra water in paint because then it creates issues. So, yeah, be very careful. What about? I tried this once, so I'll ask you. What about using an airbrush to do the priming?
Oh, you know what? I think that is the way to go if you've got one. But I've got an airbrush. I've got two, and I've never had any luck with getting them to work. Like I don't know what it is about me and airbrushes, but I would love one. I think they're amazing, but
Mm-hmm.
they constantly just got clogged up when I was trying to use them. So I never did. But if you can get one that's working well, I mean that's what we were talking about before about the fine paint mist, right? That's
Yeah.
perfect for figures.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
I just got started with the airbrush, so I am no expert, and I got a really crappy one from Amazon that cost me $40. I can, I don't know where I put it. There it is.
If it works, it doesn't really matter what the price is.
It didn't work.
I
It
think mine
didn't
was
work.
$100
I
and
just
it's rubbish.
here's my thing. I'm not an airbrush expert, and I don't know if I'm going to go that route because I've seen videos where they say you can do anything you do on an airbrush with a brush, so you
Well,
don't really need an airbrush. So I was like, I just want to test it out. So I went with the cheapest, and also like before I bought this, I bought a real one. I want to call it a real one because in a moment you'll see why I mean a real one. And when I bought it, I knew nothing about airbrushes, right? So I buy the thing, and it comes to me, and it looks. I'll show you. It looks like this, but nicer, right? Because this is the crappy one. And I'm like, okay. And what about the air? How do I get does the air
container?
What?
Where's the paint container?
Oh, no, it came with a paint container. But it didn't come with the air compressor, right? I was supposed to buy it separately. I didn't know that. So I'm like, oh, now after I spent, I think it was not that expensive, but after I spend money on this thing, now I have to buy me an air compressor that makes noise and is going to be loud. And I'm like, okay, so I went this route. This little thing, I know it's crappy, but it has like its own air compressor that I don't know if you can hear it, but so it's already blowing air. Here, air for all you guys.
And does that work?
I've only used it twice. The first time it worked great. It was amazing. I put my little paint on the little thing.
Yeah.
Here. And I did it. I actually painted. Let me show you which one I painted. This guy has been painted using the airbrush. It was black, so I was like, why not? So all the black I did with the airbrush. I did not use a brush at all. And and the base also I did. And then I just did the white on top and the staff and whatever. So it worked. The second time it didn't work so well. I sprayed all my hands, and then I recorded a video, and I had to apologize to my viewers. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was trying my airbrush and it just got splashed all over my hands and I look like a mess. I apologize for that. So I have to try one more time. But I thought for $40, if I'm not going to use it, then I only spend $40. So I went with it.
I've never seen the CO2 canister before. I have got a desktop pump thing. It's massive compressor.
Yeah.
And it is noisy.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Yeah, this will do the trick, And I had to watch videos on how to disarm this thing and put it back together because I had no idea.
You need to keep it clean, right?
You have to clean it after every use. If not, it's going to clog. It's going to create problems, and especially if you buy something that is not expensive. And I think actually, if you buy something expensive, more so, you want to take care of it. You don't want to mess it up so quickly. So, but it's an option, and I think it works great as an undercoat, or for me, it was the base coat. I was able to do it. So, I think we've covered priming. Anything else you want to add about priming?
I don't think so. Just make sure you check it in natural light. Make sure you've got the whole thing covered, and blowing on them. Again, it seems to be a thing. See when you're undercoating it. This is what I would do. Say it's chainmail that you're doing. Blow on it while it's wet.
Really?
Give it a good, because it will push it into all these small, tiny areas. Do that all the way around. Faces. Give it a good.
Okay, I did not know that.
Silly, but
I would have thought that blowing would make the paint go into like clogs and stuff. That's what I would have thought.
No, well, I've used that for years, and it's always done me well. And if you do see it blow out into something else, just dab it with your brush.
Right. Always keep a look on it. Yeah. Well, I already learned something. That's great. All right. So I guess let's move on to base coat.
Okay.
Right. Where do you start with your base coat? What areas do you start with?
Anabel, see, to me, the base coat is the undercoat.
Okay.
I go straight from the undercoat to the painting.
Okay. But what if there's different colors on the mini? So like, what if you base coated black, but your mini is actually blue?
Well, then I would hit it straight away. I would start dry brushing it blue.
Dry brushing it, not base coating it, over the black.
Yeah, the black would be my base coat.
Okay.
and then the dry brushing would start. And see, for lighter things like faces, then obviously, yeah, you're going to paint that in. And if,
Right.
if if it's got a brown bag, you might paint that in. So is that what you mean? Is that like over the top of the black, the base coat of different things that might be like a lighter color? Is that what you mean?
No, I meant for everything. Like, for example, this guy,
Mm-hmm.
I primed black, but then I painted red on top.
Oh, see, yeah, no, I skipped
You
that.
don't. Okay. Okay. Well, so I wanna know about this because, for example, and I'm glad I got these examples. Actually, I didn't know I was gonna use you guys so much. For example, let's talk about this guy. So,
Okay.
uh, let's say that I primed them black. I don't remember if I did or not,
Yeah.
but let's pretend. How this is a very soft kind of texture. Like there's not a lot of texture on this coat of his because it's just plain. Do you still airbrush? I mean, not airbrush.
Right. Dry
Dry
brush.
brush this? You still dry brush this whole thing?
Yeah. Over and over again until I get it to the. So, see, with that, that's quite a light blue. So, I know it sounds ridiculous. I would dry brush it dark blue, then a little bit lighter blue, and then at the end, the lightest blue, just to bring
Okay.
up the sort of the creases
Huh.
and things.
That's awesome. So
Yeah.
explain to us how to dry brush, please.
So dry brush, you need a little bit of a thicker brush. You put the color on that you want to do, and then you go across the grain. So say I was dry brushing my fingers, I
Okay.
would paint it this way, not this way, because you want to
Do you
avoid going in the cracks.
okay? But do you take paint off the brush
Oh yeah,
before?
that's why it's called dry brushing, right? You take most of the paint off.
Okay.
You want it to be wet when you do that. Yeah.
Okay. So I was doing it right. I was just okay. So that does that take a long time then to dry brush like that coat? I mean, you're doing it like 3 times.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to.
And you have to wait for it to dry in between because you don't want the colors mixing.
How do you make it so that it doesn't go on the shirt?
I do see with that I do the smaller things last.
Smaller things last. In
Yeah.
case you run into the shirt, you can
Yeah.
then fix the
So
shirt.
I would do the whole so the guy, I think you've got a guy there with a red cloak on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would do the black base coat, wait for it to
Mhm.
dry, and then start dry brushing that entire thing red, even his face, whatever, the whole thing, just
Okay.
for ease. And
Okay.
then slowly build up with the smaller things, right down to the smallest thing. So the last thing I would do probably is eyes.
Oh, eyes. We'll talk about eyes in a minute.
Yeah.
And that's something I wanted to point out, which I'm glad you mentioned it because to me that's such a precious, important detail. Whatever you paint first, you can actually mess up the rest. It doesn't matter. So if I was painting the coat, I can go into the pants with the blue. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because you're gonna paint. You haven't painted the pants yet, so it's okay. Even if you go like Angela said on the face, it's fine. Don't worry about it because you're going to take care of the face later. So just go at it. Just the first thing you paint, and that's why I always try to pick the thing that has the most area first.
Yeah.
So, so in this case, it would have been that blue coat because there's a lot of blue coat. So I would have gone there. Whereas with this guy, he's got tons of brown. So I went with the brown first, not the shovel. The little part of the shovel here I left for last so you go with the whatever has the biggest area and you go crazy. And if you splatter it everywhere, it doesn't matter. As long as you don't splatter it on your expensive furniture.
That's your thing that you do as well. You would go to the dry brushing, or
I don't. No, I don't. I didn't know, but I will now. I was just painting it. Like what I had learned from who knows who. Thank you, whoever you are, is to cover all your base paint first. So I will first base paint this blue, then the pants brown, the hat, all the colors that are base, and then after I'm done with all the base colors, then I start dry brushing.
okay.
Or
That's
actually,
you know what? Just because I do it that way doesn't mean that's the right way. I'm sure that it's probably the wrong way. I would do it with whatever. If you found like a professional figure painter, like it's like with all these gadgets that you've got now. We never had them back in the day. It was,
right.
you
But
know.
you know what? I love the idea of dry brushing a base coat because it gives you all those
All the
layers
detail.
of,
You can see like every crease. You can see where you need to add the shadows and things further on. That's why I like doing it.
yeah, I really like your method. I will put it into practice today, not today, tomorrow.
Oh, I look
But no,
forward to
I think so here's the thing. So this is the order that I was taught. Base coat,
Yep.
then wash, then dry brush. Is that not the right order?
That's probably is the right order, but that's not the order I would do it in.
Okay. So what is your order?
My order is base coat, dry brush, detail, then wash or ink or whatever the oil. Nuln oil. That's my go-to for getting into the shadows. That's a Citadel paint.
The watery paint. That's
Watery one seeps into all the creases.
exactly. Okay. But here's my question. Will that wash then mess up your dry brushing highlights?
Not overly, and you know what? If it does, you wait for it to dry and then you hit it with the lightest possible version of that dry brush that you did just to
Okay.
make it pop.
So you go back and you dry brush again.
Yeah.
You wash. Okay. That makes sense.
How do you do it? Tell us.
I followed the order that I was taught. I base coat, then I wash, and then I do the highlights. Not the highlights, the dry brushing, which is kind of the highlights. And then I go into my favorite, the face.
Oh,
Let's
no
talk
one's
about
favorite.
let's talk about skin because I have a really hard time with skin, and I don't know if that's because I have crappy paint. I bought a set of skin paint, and I don't like it. I even threw one away the other day because I'm like, I'm not handling you anymore. You have messed up my man. I think it was this guy actually, and I don't know that you'll be able to tell, but he has like this really glossy. I hated it, but I don't know that you can tell. It's the camera is not the best. That's why we took pictures, which we'll show you in a minute.
Yeah.
But tell me about skin because here's the thing with skin. Most miniatures that you're going to paint are going to be light Caucasian. There's just a lot of what you see in the booklets, and you try to copy that. So
Yeah, I was going to mention that actually, so I'm glad that you have.
yeah, and then of course it's light, and
Yeah.
light colors are a pain. So how do we fix that? What do we do? Please tell me.
Well, I was just going to say, there's that inherent racism, isn't there, of flesh-colored paint, which is always a light color, which is ridiculous. People aren't all flesh-colored. People are browns and tans and all these beautiful colors.
Yeah.
You don't have to paint your figure to be a light color. You can paint it to be a dark color. But
Of
if you
course.
are painting it to be a light color, see, this is why I dry brush everything, because it shows you early on where all of those little details are. So when it comes down to the face, the only things you really need to add once you've dry brushed it in is the mouth and the eyes. Yeah. The eyes are the pits, right?
Right. But when you dry brush the face, because the face is tiny, do you use a really small brush?
Yeah. Yep.
Small and pointy or small and squared?
Small and squared off. So if I was dry brushing a face, see, it's hard for me now because of my eyes. I definitely wouldn't. I would use the magnifier that you've got. I cut off the very pointy.
Yeah.
Just snip the end and then give that a go. And if that's not working, paint it in like you said.
Okay, but the problem with painting it in is it gets all cloggy. It's such a small. Here's my problem that I always have, even with arms and everything, legs. I had a leg lady. Oh my gosh, I'm like, why are you showing your legs, lady? You look ridiculous because of what I've done to you. Yeah. So if I make the paint too thin,
yeah,
it just everything you can see through. If I make it too thick, then it gets this clogs of paint everywhere, and I can never get the happy medium. How do you get the happy medium where it's nice and smooth, so like my skin looks like real?
Yeah, you need a good paint, don't you? Like you need a proper figure paint, and you can even water it down and test. Get a crappy figure, like one that you don't care about, and use it as a practice to
Okay.
get the consistency, and then do it on your good one.
So I
Knowing
saw.
those faces, they suck.
Oh, an ice. We haven't even gotten to the ice yet, guys. I saw this video of this guy, which was an excellent video. I wish I could recommend it. That would explain how to thin your paints, because everybody says thin your paints, noob. If you don't know what you're doing, thin, thin, thin. But I'm like, okay, but I thin them and then they're too thin. And if I leave them in the wet palette, they get even thinner. And then it's this constant battle with the right texture. And he showed how he was taking his brush and he was showing on a dry piece of paper how it was supposed, not a dry piece of paper, I think he did it on the wet palette, how it was supposed to look and how much it was supposed to run. And you want it to move a little bit, but you don't want it to run like down like water.
Yeah.
I've been trying. I still haven't mastered that. but yes, I think that is a great idea to just get many that, actually, if you buy, I know I put an order at, I think it was Citadel, and they sent me, you can pick some gifts, and I just picked minis. So I do have a mini here that it's not from any game, because that's the problem. The minis I paint are from my game. So they send me this bard. I think she's a bard. So yeah, so just go to your local geek store and invest in a couple of minis that you just want to practice on. And here's the good thing about, if you practice on a mini, you can always just redo it, right? So you can always paint on top, as long as you don't paint too thick and then you lose the details.
Yeah.
So yeah, do that. All right, eyes. Tell me about eyes.
Eyes are the worst, aren't they? I mean, I don't even think I could paint eyes anymore, even with a magnifier, because not only are my eyesight terrible, you get the little shake going and you're screwed.
And then you put the eye here.
Yeah.
Or here.
So you hold the container and lean your hand, right, and then just slowly move it in, and you have to do the white first and then the black dot in the middle. It's a pain. Nobody likes doing the eyes.
Nobody likes it. All right, so I will tell you, I will draw it because I'm visual. So I will draw an idea somebody I heard from somebody. Let me get a pen. I keep leaving you guys. Hold on. So I heard this on a video and I thought it was genius. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Because I'm stupid. But Angela might have come up with this. So you got your eye. So what you do is you're going to put a big blob of white. Don't worry if it's bigger than it needs to be. Don't worry about it. Okay? And then you're going to do, instead of a dot, you're going to do a line straight down.
And then, yeah.
And then you take your paint again and you make it smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Paint the top, paint the sides until you can just have enough eye. But if you make the line straight, it's easier for both eyes for you to then come and take off and both eyes to be looking straight. Because what happens to my eyes, that one is looking up, the other one's looking down, and they look like weirdos. So use the tip if you want it. I've been using it and it's been pretty great. I mean, I feel sometimes that my line is not straight. My line is a little, but I can still come and fix it afterward. It's a pain. It takes a lot of work because you have to go back and remember what paint you use for the skin and thin it down to perfection again. I wish there was an easier way. The other suggestion that I heard was don't paint the eyes. Just use a wash, and the wash will go into the sockets, the eye sockets, and they will look dark, and they're so tiny that if you're just going to put them on a table, no one's going to notice that it doesn't have eyes.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that's a good tip. I like that one.
Yeah. All right, washes, because that would be my next step. So let's go to that. How much wash do you put on the figure? Do you just let it run everywhere, or do you control it? What do you do?
I'm quite picky if I'm using an oil or something, because they're expensive as well. Yeah, I don't like splash it with it. I would tend to do it little by little.
Okay.
But you can do either. It doesn't really matter because you put it on, don't you? And then the idea would be dry your brush off a little bit and then try and get rid of the loose stuff that's still there. How do you do it?
Yeah, I do think that's the best way to do it. Like, get your wash on your brush. Doesn't matter if it's a lot or a little, and then put it on. It doesn't matter if it's a lot. Then dry your brush, dry, 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 and then pick up or you can have another brush sitting around if you want to, and just pick up where the water has really clogged up. Because if you don't, it's gonna look like a big stain of black there.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you pick it up on the places where it's really probably like here. It will get really. You want to leave a little bit because you do want to have washes on the recesses, but you don't want it to look unreal. And I'll tell you, that one's really tough on me because I do make a ton of mistakes with that. I have a mistake sitting right over there that I need to go fix. Where then it looks like a big black stain on your arm. It's like, what happened to this dude? Because the wash, I didn't clean it enough. So it's time consuming is what it is, but it can be done.
Yeah, see, we never had any of these fancy things back in the day, Anabel. We didn't have oils and inks and washes and all that. If you wanted to use something to seep into the cracks, you would get some usually black paint, water it down until it's runny, and then you would use that. But we didn't have all these fancy pants things.
Well, I'll tell you, that's how I used to wash, because that's how I learned from my kit that I got. They didn't send a wash with the kit. They just told me use black and water it down, put like 10 drops of water on a 1 drop of black, and then just wash it like that. And it works. There's no reason not to do it that way. What is this oil I keep hearing you talk about? I don't know what that is.
I like Nuln oil. So it's NULN oil, I think, and it's a Citadel thing, and it's essentially like a wash. I don't know, people are going to be screaming in the comments, Angela, that's not what it's made for. I don't care. I don't care. I don't know all these fancy things, okay? That's what I use it for. I use it like a wash and then let it seep in, and it just dries really pretty. I like it.
Does it dry shiny?
It doesn't dry shiny. No, it dries. Yeah, you would think it would, right? Because oil makes it sound like it would be shiny.
Right. Yeah.
No.
No. Okay.
I would definitely get one of those and give it a go. You might enjoy it.
Okay. I will look for that. Now I know how to spell it, so I will buy another thing because I'm the one to buy it.
Get all the things.
All right, so I think we've covered everything. Now here's the last part that I want to talk about, because I know that I was playing Hero Quest the other day, and when I took up my miniatures, on camera, it's probably, if it hasn't come out yet, it's coming, guys. It's coming to the channel soon. I took out my minis and I saw that it was a guy that was blue, and he had right here on the side, like on the side of the mini, a white, like it had been scrapped, like scratched into the paint. And I'm like, what happened to my miniature? And then the more I looked at other miniatures, the more I saw that. Is there a way to protect that paint? Is there a final step to make sure that your mini is protected from table use?
Yeah, you can use clear coat on your mini. Just don't use a shiny one, because that's going to undo all your hard work. And there's one that you can use your little clippy thing for. You can just spray that because there's no detail involved.
Okay, so I was going to ask, is that an aerosol can? Is that like a Home Depot thing?
I think that the Warhammer shops sell that in an aerosol. You can get it in a hardware shop, but again, try and get a thin one. Try and get one that comes out thin out the nozzle.
Yeah, that's the tough part. So it's called clear coat. Okay. What about varnishing your minis? Do you do that?
Yeah, you can do that as well. I just do whatever. I mean, back in the day, I think we actually used, this is terrible. People are going to yell at me in the comments. We used PVA glue mixed with water. So, wood glue?
Yeah.
That's how we would varnish them back in the day before we had all these fancy sprays and things that you can get.
Thanks for having me. My issue, I have a varnishing. Should I show it to you?
Yeah.
I have a can that I use, but when I first got it, I guess I either watched it. I knew how to use it, right? I used it the other day, and I hadn't used it forever, and I've forgotten how to use it, and I made such a mess. I messed up all my minis.
No.
Yeah, I messed them all up. They were so horrible. I'm like, after all the work, it was like 5 of them too. So my whole, I was like, the only thing I was glad was that I already had played that game in the channel with the unpainted mini, so you guys don't have to look at the horrible mess that I made, but I have to watch it. So maybe let's talk about how to do it right. Hold on. This is what I got. And I don't know if
What is
it's,
this? Is this for minis? Oh, it does say army.
yeah,
Quick
it just,
shade.
it makes them glossy, which I don't like for all the minis. I sometimes, but I have a friend that loves it, and she keeps telling me, do it glossy, do it, put the shiny thing. I'm like, but I know you have to shake it like you're gonna dance the Macarena with it. Like you have to really give it a shake. And then I know you're supposed to dip them, but like quickly. And that was my
Oh
mistake.
no, you dip them?
You can just dip them in there. You can brush it on too, but you can just easily dip them and then make sure that you get the excess out. And it gives it a nice gloss. It does protect it. Again, I don't like it for all the minis because I don't like the glossy finish on them. But it
That would
does
scare me.
will scare
Dipping?
you.
Oh, that would scare me. That seems like a lot.
Super easy. You just stick them in there, take them
Yeah,
out, and
well,
then
that's
you're done.
true.
You just go like, poof, poof, poof. Okay, but dry. You have to do it outside because it's stinky, and you don't want those fumes in your house. But other than that, I mean, you know, that's it's an option.
Yeah, it's an option. It's an
And
option.
it looks good for some minis. There's some that I wouldn't. Again, it's that glossy. I think I'm gonna try your clear coat from
Yeah, and
Citadel.
make sure it's matte. Don't do it glossy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Speaking of glossy, though, I do have a top tip. This isn't from me. This is from my daughter. She uses this is bizarre, but it works a treat. Clear nail varnish. You know
Okay.
that stuff? Glossy
Yes.
nail varnish. If
Yeah.
you want something glossy, shiny, use that on the bit that you're doing because it. And I'll show some figures in the second where she's done it,
Okay.
and it just makes it look shiny and amazing. And what's the other thing she uses? I think she uses some kind of almost like a glue for like saliva and things,
Okay. Okay.
and it looks amazing as well.
Huh. I can't wait to see the pictures. Should we do that? Should we go look at pictures?
Yeah, because I'd totally forgotten that we I'd totally forgotten that we had them. Should
We
we
have
do
to
that?
take.
Let's do that now.
You're gonna see the difference between Amanda's miniatures and my miniatures. We don't even need to tell you if it's mine or Amanda's. You will know. Go for it.
Right, let's go. Window.
All right.
There we
So
go.
there's those guys. Um, I mean, I don't know what to tell you other than it was fun painting them. I love this game.
They're good finishes, aren't they?
Yeah, they're super adorable. I think the guy with hand with the big weapon with the big, what is it? Is it a staff, a hook,
Stuff,
whatever it is?
yeah.
Yeah, he has the glossy thing on him.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to tell, but I think he does. Whereas the shark, the bear shark, I should say, does not. So you can kind of see the difference between them.
Okay. Let me
Yeah,
see if I can find one of these ones with the saliva on it that I was talking
yeah,
about.
that'd be cool. I want to see that.
There we go.
Who painted that? Not Annabelle.
Not Angela. That was my daughter who's painted that. I'm so happy that she's into D&D. I did try and get her into D&D for a long time, and she had no interest. But she's fully invested now, thanks to Critical Role.
Good, good.
Yeah,
What do you mean thanks to Critical Role? Because she watches?
she watches Critical Role. She's going to see Critical Role
Okay.
next month. She's going to
Okay.
London to see them live.
All right, okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
she loves it.
That
Yeah.
looks amazing. And we didn't talk about basing, but I guess we can talk about basing now.
Oh,
So
look, my daughter loves a base. Let me find a base for you. Actually, let's look at this one. This is one of yours that I absolutely loved when I saw the picture.
oh yeah, I'm very proud of that one actually.
That's really good. Did you see the picture like Henry VIII or whatever on there? Is that something that you printed out and put on there?
That's right. Yeah, I got that idea from somewhere on the internet. I thought it was so clever because I can't paint like that.
Little touches.
So, yeah. You just grabbed I just grabbed a photo from the internet and I just made it as small as I could to fit it in there. But I gotta say, like that one, I had a hard time painting fire too, and I had to watch
fire's hard.
Yeah, fire is hard. I watched a whole ton of videos, and I know I'm no expert, but at least it looks like fire. It doesn't. You can tell it's fire.
Yeah.
So,
No, I really
yeah.
like that one. I think you did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
Yeah.
see, adding the picture, just
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good.
It's a nice touch for sure.
What else have we got? Oh, let's look at some Star Wars.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, Star Wars. I'm glad that you can't see the details. Darth Vader was easy because, he's black. But I'm actually very, very proud of that transport that's white because what a pain that was.
White is hard, though. White is hard. See, did you paint that white to begin with, or did you start with a dark undercoat on that one?
I don't remember.
Yeah. See, if I'd done that one, I would have painted it black and then painted it white.
Oh, really? I probably started with a white primer. I would think I did, but I don't remember. It's been too long. But it looks really bright, which in that one I do like how it came out.
Did you paint the walker as well?
Yeah, I mean,
I love the shading on that walker on that blast.
Yeah, I did a lot of shading on that one because I
good.
thought it would, because you want it to look Star Wars-ish, which means you want it to look old and used. You don't want it to look new. So yeah, that's and Han Solo looks like Han Solo. He's dressed like Han Solo.
You've done a great job. You've even got the little leg strap on there.
Yeah. I enjoy this game a lot. Imperial Assault. This is for Imperial Assault, and the problem with it is that you don't always use Han Solo and Vader, which sucks. Like, why would you not let me use the figures that are like the iconic figures, But yeah, painting the lightsaber was also hard. Look at this. This was not done by Anabel.
This I'm just showing you this one because it's done by my daughter, and she bought this resin heather when she was in Scotland, and she used it for the backing of this figure.
Okay.
And it turned out really pretty.
Super pretty.
Yeah, and again, another top tip: the wings. I think when I mentioned that clear, glossy nail thing, before you can get nail varnish that's got almost like a translucent sort of glitter in it.
Yes,
that is good for magic. If you're doing something magical,
yes,
use that.
I see it. I didn't know that you could use nail polish on minis. Like, it never occurred to me that would work. Like that.
Yeah, she likes doing it, and it works out. It works out good in the ones that I've seen. Now we do every Christmas and Easter. We do a D&D family D&D game, and something else that I wanted to bring up because I know that you've got a little bit of an interest in this as well. 3D printing some figures. These are ones that we played with at Christmas, not last year, the year before, the gingerbread baddies. And they're all 3D printed.
Okay. And look at the bases. That's awesome.
Yeah. She's used sprinkles on the bases, like cake.
I was going to ask, are those like real sprinkles? Like,
yeah. I know she uses real things because once they're coated, it doesn't matter. Once they're
once you coat them, yeah.
And there's the gingerbread dragon, and these are 3D printed. They bought the files from some guy who'd made them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How long does it take to print that? Like a figure that size?
To print that would probably be a good few hours to print that one. But the smaller ones, less so. Like she did little toy soldiers as well. They wouldn't take very long to print.
That's so cute. She painted them in really bright colors, which look perfect for the motif. And look at the bases. Like I noticed that she even covers the rim of the base, not just the top.
Yeah, she's good at figure painting. She did Mansions of Madness as well. She did the figures.
Look at that.
Glad that she's taken it up because she has got some skill there.
She definitely does. Is she an artist aside from this or no?
She is, yeah. She's an artist, generally speaking. Now, this one here, I wanted to talk to you about. That one in the middle. Have you left that as it came out of the box and done the detail, the eyes and the mouth?
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's nothing magical about it. It has that translucent look, and I love it. I just did the eyes, the mouth, and the base. That's all I did, and I think that's enough. That's all you need. But I do think that if you compare it to the original, where it's all glossy, even the base is transparent, this gives it an extra touch that it didn't have before. And forgive me that my dwarf lost his swords. He does have swords. It's
I
just
didn't even notice.
yeah, the picture ate them because it's on portrait mode, so it makes the background blurry. And yeah, it ate my
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, I love painting. My favorite thing to paint, and I think you will agree with me, is stuff with texture, like this little lizard, dinosaur,
Yes.
whatever it is. Because it's so fun to I keep saying airbrush, dry brush that, and let the details really come alive. Because when you're dry brushing straight, like we talked about, smooth, you don't see the details. I guess you don't see the details as vibrantly as you do when it's like a bear. I love painting wolves, animals, fur, dogs, and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But that middle one there, that shows you though, you don't have to go mad. I mean, some people would probably paint that whole thing,
They
and
have.
that looks perfect. I really like that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Do you
think.
have any
I
more,
mean, there's
Amanda?
others here, but oh, hang on a minute.
Oh my goodness.
So
That was
here's a tip. She's used the glossy nail varnish, I'm assuming, on this sword. But if you look closely at that, you'll see she's drawn little tiny stars.
uh-huh.
Give
I
it
see
that
that.
magic thing. This is her D&D character who got turned into a were-rabbit, and she would use whichever figure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Depending on what form. And I see she does a lot of highlights as well, which I still am not good with that. When I see it, when I paint them and I see them, I think they look too. The contrast is too much. But then I see here, and it looks so good. So I don't know.
I've just thought of another top tip for you as well, and for your viewers. If you're doing something that's mostly metal, you can paint that. Obviously, I'm not saying don't paint it, but you can get this stuff called rub and buff, and it's like an oil-based wax almost. Okay. You put it on your finger or on a little brush or whatever. Okay. And if you're doing something metal, you can get it in silver, you can get it in gold. I think you can get it in an antique gold.
Okay.
And, if you rub that onto like a blade, it makes it look like actual metal as opposed to silver paint.
Oh, that's a great tip. Thank you for that.
It's good stuff. I think people use it for antiquing and things like that. But
okay, so you don't have to paint it anymore. It just immediately looks like a sword.
Yeah. You don't have to paint it.
I guess you can still highlight it because I see there's highlights on this sword.
Oh, for sure. I don't think she's used it. She's used paint in that one for sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Looks amazing. Looks really good. That armor is fantastic.
Oh, a little ball.
Wow.
Yeah, and the bases. You were gonna talk about what you do with your base.
Well, I want to talk about what she's done with this book.
Yeah, it looks all right, doesn't it? And she's painted that. She hasn't, but she's an artist. Like I said, she can actually draw.
Yeah, I've tried writing little things here and there on open books, and they look horrendous. So this is amazing. She puts a lot of detail into those bases. Let me tell you. Yeah. I mean, it's just glue. That's all it is, glue, and then you get the moss and the little flowers, and you just. Yeah, I do it.
You've reminded me of another tip. Hang on, let me try and find it.
Oh, look at that. Wow, that's tiny.
That's a magic crab. But these little mushrooms here, one of the ways that you can do them is, those little push tacks that you use for hold the papers together and you split them?
Yes.
Yeah, you can paint those into little mushrooms and pop them on your base.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. But wait, you have to put something where they will stick because your plastic base, they're not going to stick on the plastic.
Yeah, well, you can super glue it, but yeah, you can see she's built it up with fake dirt and things on this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a problem that I have with basing. I based one of the Legend of Dritz, I think, which you showed previously. I put this kind of stuff on it. You just put glue on the base and then you stick the mini in there and you twirl it for a little bit and it comes out and it has grass, and then you can add little stones. You can break them apart, make them tiny. So that I've done. But here's the problem I have. Then when I come to take it out of the bag and put it on my table, it makes a mess. This
Yeah.
goes everywhere. Everywhere. And if you have a gaming table or a play mat or something like what we usually do, that kind of material, that stuff sticks there like it just that's it. It's you
Yeah.
could
That's when you need to clear coat it, I guess, to hold it all in.
Okay, so that was my question. If you clear coat it, will it stay?
It should do, shouldn't it? I would never I'm not a dipper. Like you just said, dip it in there and then
Yeah.
and blow. Have you blown on it once you've glued it? Use
I
the
feel like
blowing, use the blowing trick.
use the blowing trick. I will use the blowing trick. Yeah, because I'm gonna try to get the clear coat because honestly,
Yeah,
I
that's a
I have stopped. As you can tell, I have stopped basing my minis
yeah,
because I don't want that mess. I don't want that mess on my table. Then I have to use the roller, and every time I sit to play, I have to roll anyways because I don't want to play on a dirty table. And even
yeah.
sometimes, if you watch my videos, you'll see that I'm playing the game and I find lint or something, and I'm like, get it out, get it out. It's such a But then I was watching Rodney from Watch and Play. I was watching one of his videos, and I saw his table is red, and it also has the little lint. And I'm like, okay, I feel better because if Rodney, who's such attention to detail, he does
Professional, yeah.
he's such a professional. So I guess we're okay. It's
We're
everybody like that. Table gets dirty so quickly.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think you've answered all my questions. Now I have a bunch of things that I need to go buy, and you probably have a bunch of things that you need to buy. But I want to hear from you guys and see if there's any tips, any other things that you can tell us about that maybe we missed today because, there's so much stuff out there and so many different painting styles. And I think the most important thing is just do it, kind of like Nike, you know? uh, Even if you're not, what really, actually, I'll tell you this funny story before we go. So I was just starting to paint, right? And I knew I'm not artistic. My artistic abilities went to music. That's why I play in a band. So I felt very conscious about my painting skills. I thought I was not really good. I went to this convention, and as I was walking, I saw this not gay guy. I don't know if he was gay, maybe he was. I saw this guy playing Massive Darkness, and he was showing everybody the minis, and so excited about the minis. Older guy, and so I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, painted minis! This is crazy! I just started painting. I want to see these." And when I looked up close, they were crap.
Yeah.
they were. I think he was older. He really couldn't see, so he couldn't see the mistakes. But it was running, like the blue was running all over the pans. It was a mess. And I said to myself, you know what? Then I think I can handle minis. I think I can handle painting as long as I try to stay within the lines. And if I make a mistake, it's okay. I'm not the only one that makes mistakes. I will tell you guys, do it because first of all, once you start, you're going to enjoy it so much. It is my therapy.
Relaxing.
It is very relaxing. Sometimes you want to kill the mini because,
That's
but
not relaxing.
it's not the mini's fault. And the one thing that is that that you can fix it. If you make a mistake, just make sure you know what color you're using and just go back and fix it. It's no big deal. You can have a mini that looks good. And I have games that I've painted some and others, and I put them together. I said, you know what? Even if my miniature is not professionally looking, even if I am not Amanda, it's still better than playing with an ugly unpainted mini. And the second thing is, when you paint your minis, you get to know every inch of it. And you discover things. Like I was painting a guy the other day, and I had no idea he had a robot arm or whatever you want to call it. And I'm like, well, this guy is so cool. He's got all these robot things on him. I would have never known if I wouldn't have painted them. So you get to really know your character and every single detail that they have. And it creates a connection between you and the characters you're playing with. So What about you? What do you have to say about that?
I would say, yeah, just give it a go like anything else. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You've wasted $20 or something. Just
Twenty
just
bucks?
start doing it.
How much should I?
If you go cheap, if you go super cheap, yeah, I know,
Yeah,
hundreds
definitely.
of dollars, isn't it, for the proper fancy stuff you've got now? But
Yeah, just yeah.
give it a go. You're only going
Give
to
it a
get
go.
better, right? You're not going to get any worse.
It's not, no, it's always going to look better than the unpainted ones. It
Yeah.
always will. I don't think
And
you
you
can
know
mess
what?
it up.
Even if somebody brings out a really crappily painted figure at like a board game meetup I'm at, I'm like, good job. You
Yeah.
gave it a go. That's
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Oh, I praised that guy so much because I was so excited to see paint the minis. I kept telling him how amazing they were, even though I knew that some of them, yeah, I wanted to. Can you give me the paints? I will fix them for you. But yeah, I mean,
gave it a go.
it encouraged me. He has no idea what impact he had because I
Yeah,
wasn't able to tell him. He had no idea that he actually sent me on my way to painting, and I have not stopped. And a lot of it was because I saw that I didn't have to be perfect. I just had to do it. And if I wasn't perfect, if they were my minis, and nobody needed to judge me for it, like I was. So that's what I'm saying. Do paint your own minis, and don't worry about other people and what they think about your choice of colors or what it looks like. Another tip is I always, when I'm painting a mini, I always go to like Board Game Geek and I look to see if somebody else has painted it, because then I can look at it real big and see the color scheme. So always do try to find, because if you just look at whatever the booklet or whatever comes in your game, sometimes it doesn't give you the detail as well as if you look online and you find pictures, and you can sometimes they're so nice. Thank you, Board Game Geekers, because you take a picture in the front and then you take a picture in the back, and I get to see it from all sides, and it's at least it gives me an idea. And I actually sometimes just follow the color scheme that they use, because I'm like, you know what, they probably looked it up, they probably did the research, I don't have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you like it or not when you see a picture of it painted.
True that. If I didn't like the colors he used, I'll just use my own, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think we did pretty good, right? I think we
I
can.
hope we've covered everything for people. And like you said, I'd like to hear people's tips in the comments as well.
Yeah, tell us about your experience. Tell us how you got started. Tell us, what. Show us pictures, even. I mean, I'd love to see
Yeah,
pictures.
definitely.
Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. So just
Yeah.
put some pictures there. All right. So shall we do our game?
Yes, time for a game.
Yeah, before we go, let's do our game. So this week we're gonna play Who is this meeple? Who in the world? Who in the meeple world? I don't remember what the name of the game was, but who is this meeple?
Who is
So
it?
I'm gonna tell you the name of a character from a game, and you have to guess what game he's from. So this week's character's name is Baribor. Baribor. And if you know who he is, I give you a tip. It's a guy. From a famous, what do you call it, IP. Just leave us a comment below, and we'll give you the answer next time when we get together. Give us a topic for next time, because we're running out of topics.
We're struggling a little bit, aren't we, with topics? So if you've got an idea for a topic, put it in the
It's not
comments.
just that we're struggling. It's just that I would rather talk about something you want to hear than something
Yeah,
that
definitely. Yeah,
I love to please, you guys. Like, I love to,
yeah.
whatever it is that, yeah, I'd rather do that than, I mean, if you don't give me a topic, then I will come up with one. And
We'll come up with one.
this week it was all about me. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Anabel's suggestion.
I like this week's one. It was good. It was fun because you've got the modern figure painter thing. You've got all the gadgets, and you know all the rules of how to do it now. And I've just got like 1983.
No, but let me tell you, it's kind of like, how you have your old refrigerator in the garage and your new refrigerator inside, and the new refrigerator gives you issues, but the old refrigerator outside runs like it's brand new. I know I have that in my house. So sometimes those tips are so helpful and like so much creative, and I love the creativity. I love all the stuff that you mentioned, because it's it takes you outside the box. I buy this product, buy that product. No, you can do it in another way that has probably even better results than all that pre-made stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thank you for sharing. All right, guys, it was really nice to see you all again. Well, I mean, you saw us, we didn't see you, but I know you're there. I know you're there. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. Play more games.